For the design portion of this module, what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate each one of our sheets here so that I have kind of my pre-designed bar chart and then a designed bar chart, pre-designed stacked, and then a design stacked, so on and so forth. The reason we're going to do this is I think it's helpful to see kind of where the chart used to be, what it looked like, and then what it looks like after, kind of that before and after picture. So we're going to walk through that with each one of these. The first one we're going to do is our bar chart. So what I would like you to do now is I'm going to right click on this bar chart tab, and then we're going to go ahead and hit duplicate. What that's going to do is it's going to create a second duplicated sheet. I'm going to double click on it, and then I'm just going to call mine bar chart design. All right, at this point, we're going to walk through a couple of our design principles. The first thing I want to talk about is our title. You notice Tableau defaults to the title of the sheet is going to match the name of our tab or the name of the sheet. If we want to change that, what we can do is double click on that title. That's going to open up our edit title screen. I like to make my titles a little bit more informative. I think that helps my end user really know what they're looking at. That way I'm not assuming that they know what they're seeing, but instead I'm telling them what they're seeing. So this would be something like the number of people admitted, let's do for all ages. And then I want to put in here that this is out of 100,000 people. If you want to get an idea of what your title looks like, you can go ahead and click apply, and then we see what it shows up like behind the scenes here. I could update the size of it. I could make it bold, underline parts. For today, I think I'm pretty good with this. I'm going to go ahead and click OK and accept those changes. Next thing I want to do is I want to add a little bit of color here. So Tableau is going to default to this kind of middle of the line blue. I don't always love that blue, so I like to kind of spice it up by adding a little bit more intentionality to my color. And what I want to do is we're going to color by year here. So I'm going to control, so I'm holding control on my keyboard, and then I'm going to drag this field over to my color button. When you hold control down on your keyboard and then drag a field over to the color button, what that does is it creates a copy of that field. So when I release my click, what Tableau is going to do is it's going to create a copy of that field out on my visualization. I'm just going to undo this real quick so you can see what happens if I don't hold control down on my keyboard. What's going to happen then is Tableau is going to move that field. So if I don't want Tableau to move it, then I need to make sure I hold control down on my keyboard. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo that. And again, holding control down, dragging that over to my color button. So now I get a specific color for each one of my years. Now let's go ahead and edit those colors. So I'm going to click on my color button. Then I'm going to click Edit Colors. We have a lot of different palettes to choose from. We could even embed or bring in our own color preferences. Notice we have a colorblind one. I'm actually going to be using that. To change the color of a specific field, what we're going to do is you have to click on the item you want to change. So I want 2020. I'm going to make it this kind of top blue here. It's a little bit more distinct than the default. I'm going to click on 2021, probably do this light blue. And then 2022, I kind of like this dark gray here. If you don't want to choose individual colors for each one, what you can do is hit Assign Palette, and then Tableau will assign whatever palette you've chosen here. It will assign values to the different members that you have out here. Again, you can click Apply to see what the changes look like behind the scenes. Once you've chosen a color scheme that you like, go ahead and click OK. Once I've got the color scheme that I want, we're going to do a couple other things here. Let's go ahead and turn on our mark labels. So if we click on our label button, I'm going to click on Show Mark Labels. And what that's going to do is that's going to add a label to the end of each one of my bars. To get out of this menu here, I can just click in the gray area down below the marks card, and that closes my label dialog box. Because I have labels on my different bars now, I don't really need my axis down here. And I'm also letting people know what the bars are representing, that it is the number of admitted people per 100,000. So let's go and right click on this axis down here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to uncheck this show header. What that's going to do is that's going to remove that header or that axis from my visualization. If you want to bring that back, you can hit the undo button. That will bring it back. Or you can right click on that sum of admit all ages. And then here is where the option for us to click show header again. So there's kind of two different ways to bring that back. Next thing I need to do, as far as a design thing here, it's pretty apparent to me that these are the years. So I don't need Tableau to tell me that those are the year of date. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click where it says year of date, and then I'm going to hide field labels for rows. So we're pretty close to getting this where I want. I'm going to make my bars here just a little bit wider. So I'm going to hover my mouse or my cursor where I get a double-headed arrow either at the very end of my bar charts, or you can do it in between them. And what I'm going to do is let's just space these out a little bit, maybe a little bit more than that. As you can see, it's not really a fine-tuned process. I can make it as long. I can make these bars as wide or as tall as I want. It's really up to you. I like just giving them a little bit more weight so that they're not these skinny little bars. Also, as I do that, you'll notice that I have some grid lines showing up behind the scenes here that because I don't have an axis, these grid lines don't mean a ton. So what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and right click kind of anywhere in the white space on your chart. And I'm going to click on Format. Now, so that's going to open up my Format window over here where my data pane is, over in my sidebar. I'm going to click on this far right option that says Lines. Then what I want is I'm going to make sure for my grid lines, you'll notice I have two selected. I have none, currently has a box around it. And then also I have the faintest or my lightest line also has a box around it. That's because Tableau is giving me grid lines for my columns, and then it's not giving me grid lines for my rows. That's why we kind of have two different ones. So because I'm on the sheet level, what I want to do is I'm just going to click None. And then you'll notice over here in my visualization, I no longer have those vertical grid lines going up. I like to do that when I don't have an axis. We call that chart junk. It's just a way to clean up our visualization so that really everything that's on here is important or is valuable information. The other thing I might get rid of, I'm going to come down here where it says Axis Rulers. I'm going to click on None. And then I'm also going to do the same thing for my axis ticks. And actually, let's do our zero line as well. So notice the zero line and those axis rulers, that's what was kind of framing out our visualization. I don't need those anymore, so that it's pretty much just my bar charts, my labels, and what year it is, and then a formatted title. Last thing I'm going to do on this one is let's right click on one of our years here. And again, come down to Format. And then what I want to do here is I'm going to format the font. So instead of it being 9-point font, I'm going to change this to 12. And I'm just going to bold those. What that's going to do is it's going to help my years stick out just a little bit more on our visualization when I go to put this on a dashboard. So here's our bar chart with some of our design principles. And again, what I liked about our way of doing it is now when I click back on the original bar chart, we get to see how much of a difference there is and how much more pleasant this one is to look at. One last thing I should mention is if you want to return back to the data pane and get out of your format window, all you need to do is click this X. That will close the format window and return you back to your data pane.